Yeah, I think we are.
Oh, you are.
I think we are. We're straight live, right?
Okay, let's go.
Hi guys, thank you for being here. Welcome back for episode 2 of Mark Live here at Network School, where we meet some of the incredible people that are, bothering to spend their incredible time in paradise over here by Singapore. So thank you for coming again and being here for episode 1. And Debs, thank you for being here. Why are you on an island in paradise?
Thank you for having me. Why am I on an island here in paradise? Well, there's a lot of things. So the people here are amazing. We've got a lot of fun activities. I'm learning a lot. I'm eating healthy and I'm getting really fit. So I was fit and now I'm getting even more fit. So I was healthy, I'm getting even more healthy. And I was having fun, I'm having more fun. There's a lot of
That's
reasons.
why you're staying, right?
Okay.
What
was the question?
What made you come? No, that's great.
I was-
That's a great
oh,
answer. Anyway,
I was like,
what made you come here in the
okay.
first place, right? The most normal, adjusted people, don't think, you know what, I'm going to go to a deserted, man-made island and hang out.
Okay, normal adjusted people. Thank you for bringing that up. I guess I'm not normal and adjusted. I came here because I thought it was an island full of entrepreneurs. That was the initial reason.
Right, yep.
And then when I got here, I realized it was not an island full of entrepreneurs. There are entrepreneurs, but people are more into tech. And I am not very tech savvy, but I was able to learn a lot.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of smart people. They're really good at what they do. So yeah.
And this is one of the things I want to bring you on to talk about here, right? I guess life here is non-existent without all of us being here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say that you're one of the kind of the cornerstones of the life that we make for ourselves whilst we're here. And there is one sort of particular famous event that you've now run multiple times that's happened since the last show, kind of here.
Yeah.
Do you want to sort of set the framing of what this is, what you're doing, why you're even doing it, what's going on? Tell me.
Okay, so the event is the Viber event. I found there was maybe a little bit of disconnect between people that were on their laptops all the time, tech people, and people who were non-tech people. And I wanted to bring the community together because I think community is probably the most important thing here, because we are in some way isolated.
Sure.
And the human connection is very, very important. And so I thought, okay, I love to party. How can I bring the party element into this? And so I thought, all right.
You don't think there's not enough party here already?
I mean,
there's a lot of building here. There's
a lot of
A lot of
building.
people building.
Yes. And so I thought, okay, what can I do? People who are normally behind their laptops, I want to make them the center of attention. And so I thought vibe coding is somewhere that's in the middle of non-tech and your software developers, software engineers. And so the event is basically people are in teams of 2. So we randomly allocate teams on the day and everyone's vibe coding. It's set up in a theme like it's the UFC in the beginning because I love the UFC.
Yep.
And then you've got like an NS belt as well. If you win, you get the belt and it gets passed on through each championship. Whilst they're doing that, every 10 minutes, they have a challenge that's dropped. And so I thought, okay, what are the challenges? So one of the challenges is drinking. So you can take 2 shots of alcohol or scull of beer. You can do an exercise challenge. So maybe like 50 burpees or something random. So the random thing could be like singing Britney Spears, twerking for like 20 minutes, the robot dance. But they get to choose their own adventure. So all these things people can do, one of them.
I think instead of what we like here already is showing, not telling on the show. Right?
Absolutely.
So I'm just going to stop this music and I'm going to show you a little clip from Friday's show. So let's Amazing. Debs. What was that? That looked like a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Who won?
Um,
It's not really about the winning, is it, on that one, right?
NS News was the winner, and then second was Flappy Debbie,
Okay, yeah.
which
yeah,
is like
yeah.
Flappy Bird with
We
me.
should add some links to this, right, for some of the apps that people can actually come and sort of like play.
Yes.
A lot of it was games, right? Like, especially you have like less than 1 hour of coding interrupted by the various activities that you sort of like
Challenges,
said,
yeah.
right? It looks just sort of like that, right? But there are some great things that were kind of produced, and hopefully they become. I mean, for the previous ones, I'm trying to think, right, of the previous shows. Again, like the games that there's not many that are still sort of in production being used like today, is that right? Like Confessions or NS Rise, whatever it is, were from sort of like
That
different
wasn't
hackathons,
me.
right? Yeah, there are lots of other hackathons here. They just might not all be as fun as the one that you did, right?
My one is basically partying and vibe coding at the same time. And not only that, the spectators can come and watch. So I think that was an important element.
Sure.
If you're not vibe coding, you can be part of the experience too.
Yep.
The reason why I chose one laptop and then two people using one laptop is that the two people can speak.
Sure.
And so people can hear what they're doing and see what they're doing. So you've got all the spectators walking
and
around, having a drink.
So we were betting on each other to like back our friends, tipping great kind of products that were made. There was a dance kind of like show. But okay, before we move on, like what are you actually up to? Like this is just like a thing that you do for everyone sort of like here.
Yeah.
Yeah. What matters most to you day to day?
Day to day, I mean, right now I'm playing catch ups with work. But day to day, so
what should people? What's the client or the customer that should come and work with Debbie?
Okay, so I've got an Australian business. I've got two. Their website and marketing businesses. But my background is not that. So don't ask me anything.
Right? Yeah.
My background, so I did my finance degree and I did my MBA. But that's in the past. I'm now a creative. But don't ask me any tech questions. And so the two businesses that I have for websites, they're very different audiences because I realize that they need different things. So one of them are more targeted towards billion-dollar companies, and the other one is targeted towards startups and tradies.
Okay.
And they're the people that I want to help as well get online for quickly. As that's probably my passion project at the moment.
Where do they find you?
They find me online.
Where?
Oh my gosh.
Right. They find you here, right? And NS. That's the problem with this, right? Like everyone knows where we are, right?
It's true. It's true. And not many people know what I even do here. Everyone asks me all the time, what do you do for work?
Well, it's just that we're not transactional, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually like a good environment. But no, it's cool. Well, look, thank you for coming in and talking very much kind of about the show. We'll send some links to you if you let us sort of kind of have them so people can sort of like see. Otherwise, thanks a bunch, Debs.
Thank you, James, for having me.
High five. Yeah. Right, hand over. Switch. Okay, so again, as normal, we're going to talk to kind of like 3 people on the show today. We're going to do a quick kind of like mic change. Every week, we're going to see slight improvements in production here as well. So I hope you're enjoying the sort of like new things because like super excitingly, just like yesterday, we had the Network State Conference announced, or maybe the day before. I think it was like yesterday. And so, you couldn't possibly have something better to do. So 3rd of October here in Singapore, there's going to be a whole day focused on the future of, kind of like new societies and like the benefits those might bring to civilization. But okay, Michael, mate, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. What a shirt you're wearing.
Yeah, it's my authentic garb.
Authentic art. Yeah. What is this shirt kind of like representing?
So this is actually a Sig Zane. Sig Zane is, I think, widely considered the best designer in all of Hawaii. Him and his son Kuha'o and the wife Nalani are this family that has really built their careers in like design, hula, and so forth. And this is I don't know. So it's like we call like lo'i, like the lo'i patch and the taro. I don't know what the word is in actual English, but this is the sweet potato, I guess. And so this is like a very traditional pattern. Each one of their shirts are one of one or a one of X print.
Yep.
So they're like the original NFT
nice,
without the bullshit. You actually, once the run is done, you can't get anymore.
Use it, right? Like
They have a actual utility, believe it or not.
But okay, so it's really okay. So short version is that you're from Hawaii.
Yes.
How do you say Hawaii?
Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like,
Yeah.
I had to say Hawaii the normal way so that we would understand. Right?
Yeah. Hawaii is fine. What you don't want to say is like Hawaii.
But again, is that literally like, what is like what's that word? The antipodes, right? It's like the opposite point on the earth to a point here. So like, what is the opposite point in the world to Singapore? Because I feel like it would be somewhere near Hawaii.
No, it would be New York and the east coast of.
Oh, right, yeah, because you're just over the Pacific over here. Right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong way.
So like Hawaii is actually Hawaii, the time zone.
Like, this is your neighbor.
It's only a short 20-hour voyage, but the interesting thing is if you look on a map, right, and you look at east and west, and you have like the U.S. on the right and China on the east. It's a little bit different, but Hawaii is like right between Asia and LATAM. So like I'm not as far as New York, but it's still far.
Well, whilst we're on Hawaii, maybe we talk about sort of like what you care most about today, which I think, well, it is Hawaii, but you also run sort of like Hawaii's most important sort of like tech event sort of like of the year. So I think you should have a quick shill. You know, everyone should be coming here obviously to hang out with us at Arcanet Network School, but you know, if for whatever reason it's not there, there's some alternate cool things happening in the world, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you can go to HonoluluTechWeek.com. It's a week of inspiring events hosted by leaders in the Hawaii and global tech community, September 8th through 14th this year. There is a couple thousand people, 3,000 to 4,000 people, 50 events during the week across 20 venues. So we'll have everyone from the biggest investors to the most hardcore student engineers and everything in between. And we'll be back at the Network State Conference right after that.
No, it's amazing. But that's like, I mean, is there much tech in Hawaii?
Yeah, I mean, we have one of the people, and I won't do the full announcement, but we're going to have Hawaii. We have unicorns in Hawaii. We have
Zuck owns half of Hawaii, doesn't he, these days? He's creating his own little startup society over in Hawaii.
Kind of. I mean, he's feeding mushrooms to cows, but is the whole tech billionaire setting up in Hawaii is a tiny bit of, I would say, a controversial thing there. But just generally, Hawaii is a meeting point for the entire world. If you go throughout the world, not with everyone, but I would say with most people, Hawaii's brand and our reputation for being the most beautiful place with the most warm place and just incredible weather is there. So it's no wonder why everyone wants to be there.
Well, I mean, if you were any representation of the people of in Hawaii, then I'm certainly more interested to go now than before. Ambassador, right?
You just got to come hang out and come to the beach and see the land and meet really the people that are there.
And look, we are again sort of in paradise, but you were already in paradise. Like, how did you end up here?
Yeah, so I'm really interested in technology. I'm really interested in leveling up and just improving. And so, after a decade in kind of Silicon Valley and then founding my last company, I really realized that I was like, man, I'm not taking care of my health. And there were some areas that I wanted to retool in technology, specifically around AI and so forth. I'd worked on it on the business and I want to become more technical. And I wanted exposure to Asia. So I think a lot of people here from Asia, they're kind of being able to step out of their bubble, whether it's India or China and so forth, and come to a really more global place. But I think for people that are coming over from perhaps the Americas, this is a really incredible place because you're getting exposure to Asia, but people speak English. And so I like to say, fat camp for nerds. I'm joking, but it's a incredible place to get in shape. It's an incredible place to learn new skills with the lectures, with the learn-a-thons, and finally, just an incredible kind of place to meet people from around the world with a not just a West-dominated focus, but a dual one.
Yeah, sure. It is actually super diverse.
Yeah.
I spend my time at a lot of places like this, but this is genuinely a lot more diverse. I mean, diversity is always on a whole bunch of different axes, right?
Yeah.
And here you've got some some very interesting stuff.
And I'm not getting paid to show this, for the record. I think it's if I were, I wish I would have, I wish I would have done this. I think I wish Network School would have existed for me. I would say 5 to 10 years ago, because I think it's again bridging over to Asia. You go to Japan, you go to other countries which are incredible, but you aren't able to get that Asia exposure without like not being able to get anywhere or something like that.
Yeah. And then Balaji says often, right, that part of what he is wanting to build here, right, is the product that he wished, you know, existed when he was a little bit younger, right?
Totally.
Like, you know, and yeah, I think everyone should come out at least for a short, you know, kind of while, and for those that love it, they should sort of like stay.
Stay,
right?
yeah.
It's very interesting. But you mentioned again, like, we should dive a little bit further back. Like, what was the sort of, you know, before you were running sort of like Honolulu Tech Week?
My charity.
Yeah. Before you were, you know, just busy like donating money, like how were you making it? Like, what were you doing in the Valley? What was the company building?
Yeah, so prior to Honolulu Tech Week, I co-founded Ocean Thermal Energy Company, focused on using ocean thermal, which is one of the largest untapped energy sources, to build out data centers and Bitcoin mining centers. But it's a very long-term kind of like moonshot project. So, you know, we got like the R&D phase up. It's still running. It's doing really incredible things. And then prior to that, I was doing largely GTM at a set of AI companies in the Bay Area. Prior to it being AI, right? Prior to the LLM area, we had these things called, you know, this thing called deep learning and convoluted neural networks and all these like cool things. And so I had just packed my bags, moved to the Bay Area after college, and took whatever job I could get selling software.
No, amazing. But I mean, okay, what was the name?
Yeah.
Ocean. What was the name of the?
OceanBit was the company prior. Yeah.
Oh, Ocean kind of like that. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's super interesting because, like, again, so to just explain that, so basically you're looking for sort of like untapped energy sources, like under the, you know, out on the sea floor that you can leverage.
No, it's actually just so there's roughly 8 terawatts of energy potential, which is like 40% of global energy. This is not, I'm not saying it in hours, I'm just talking about actually rough potential. I'm not putting it in power terms, but so anywhere that you have a differential of cold and warm, so cold deep water, warm top water, so tropical areas, huge percentage of the world, using a low boiling point working fluid like an ammonia, you can actually run a Rankine cycle. And so for a lot of places that don't have oil and gas, for a lot of places that are in very tropical climates, you know, it is a potential to essentially go, you know, energy independent, and have, it's very important because it's baseload energy as well. So it runs 24/7. So it's been proven already. The technology is all proven. The scaling up part is really hard. And my co-founder and CEO, Nate, who runs the company now, and our other co-founders are just like these chemists and engineers and brilliant people that do this type of stuff.
Do you want to do a little bit of chemistry for me? You said that the Rankine cycle?
Rankine, yeah.
But what is that?
It's just as like so like to even dumb it down further, like you have a when you know you have more pressure, less pressure, and so forth. So like heat and cold, right? When you think about expansion and then contraction. And so in order to get something to boil, right, normally you need a really hot temperature. Ammonia and these other working fluids are able to do that at a really like a much lower temperature. You really just need a 20 degrees Celsius delta.
Okay.
And so essentially you are you kickstart the engine, and then you have you know, the essentially warm expansion, and then you pump in cold water, and then you use a heat exchanger, which just transfers the heat from the water into the actual engine itself, right? And so it just is like cold, warm, and it just is running the cycle.
Okay, fine. And you're leveraging the differences, the temperature differential at the different depths of kind of water.
Yeah, so you need really deep water, typically at 1,000 meters or below, and then you have surface temperature. Roughly. Yeah. So it's
random fact to have in my head.
Yeah. It's like you're looking at, typically, depending on where you are, you're going to be, you know, 4 to like 22, 24. And the thing is that like this can be done right at other temperatures and so forth. It comes down to where is it like kind of cost efficient and so forth. So you want the hottest water. And then once you get below 750 to 1,000 meters, pretty much anywhere you're going to have cold water, right? The cold water is not the problem. The problem is is the surface temperature hot enough?
Interesting. And then again, right, so you leverage that temperature differential, you're producing sort of like energy, and
Yeah.
it's continuous and kind of like constant.
Yeah.
And that's then very, very useful for, energy goes over a duck curve, and like maybe you don't need it so much at other sort of like times. And then that's where the Bitcoin mining component comes in.
Bitcoin mining, data center component, and you also have the cooling element, because if you look at a lot of the companies that are popping up in the Bay Area or around the world, a lot of people are focused on this cooling element for the data centers. Now, there's, I think, healthy debate on both sides of liquid cooling, water cooling, direct to chip. There's all these different factors that go in there. But if you want a very efficient cycle that uses all the resources, having this cold wastewater, essentially, it's never free, but provide free cooling, for lack of better words, is it's a very unique system design.
Interesting. Like I said, do you have any ideas like what this sort of comes out as sort of like cents per kilowatt hour for?
Yeah, so it's totally dependent on build and size, and then where you are in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We believe that if the company and myself, when I was doing some of this original math with my co-founders and specialists, is if we follow any kind of similar path to some of the other renewable technologies, you're going to get to in that 5 to 10 cents per kilowatt hour.
This is really interesting tech, right? Because one of the challenges when you're building on these, I mean, we're an island attached to the mainland, right? But all the challenges with, like, if you're looking at the Caribbean with all of these sort of like islands, right? They're sort of like, I don't know in Hawaii so well, but like they're constrained by land. Typically, like power generation takes up a lot of land, and energy costs are very, very high on these islands, and that then like dramatically sort of impedes their sort of economic development. Like they can't do any manufacturing and whatever it is, and so they're not able to capture more of the, kind of like the value chain. And so this is something that can potentially happen.
Well, you can just put it offshore, right? You put it on a boat, and even if you look at some of the new proposals in the nuclear space, a lot of the newer nuclear companies, ones on land, are looking at all modular, but there are a number of companies that are doing nuclear as well, in addition to ocean thermal. And you can put these things either in a repurposed vessel or on a fixed platform. All the technology is out there, right? It's already been done in kind of oil and gas, just not the actual core energy thing. And it is a less efficient than form when you're looking at, just because you're working at lower heat. But it's like yin and yang, right? You have a much larger quasi-infinite resource. It's powered by the sun. And so that's what I was doing prior. And so it's just a bunch of like interesting stuff, I guess. Very eclectic.
It's super cool. This is, I guess, like where we're, again, part of what's lucky about being here is that we have all these people with different sort of experience that kind of like comes through. But I guess that's it. I mean, you've made a big commitment, right? You're planning to sort of like stay here sort of like for a little while, right? Yeah.
So I really like, I think this is like an interesting topic. The abridged version is that I think there's we're seeing the rise of Asian we have for a while. I'm from Hawaii, American, love my country, love the West and so forth.
Sure.
I grew up in it, but if you're looking to get exposure to Asia or do a tour here, I think this is like such an easy hop off point to go take time here. And so when I look at like my ideal setup, it's my parents and headquarter kind of in Hawaii, and then I want a Asia setup as well too. And so I'm going to be spending a lot of time here, just because I'm so excited about what's going on.
Yeah, that's super cool. Well, maybe that on that highlight. Thank you for coming and having a chat for me. Pleasure.
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
I'm going to get to spend more time with you.
Yes, I feel the same.
Next year or so. And thanks for coming. Thanks for coming on the show.
Many years to come.
Pleasure.
Aloha.
Thank you, dude. Okay. This production is always there's no planning that goes into the conversations that we're about to have, and the guests put a lot of trust in me that I'm not going to skewer them immediately. But please come on. We've got our final guest for today, Nimesh, who found out that this was happening about 5 minutes before we went on air. Most people find out last minute, but thank you for having some trust, and thank you for coming and having a chat. Again, we've got to know each other a little bit. I've had some super interesting kind of like like conversations. But yeah, do you want to do a brief introduction to yourself and what you're working on?
Yeah, I'm Nimish. I'm the co-founder of Phase. We make application secrets managers for developers. What that means is, API keys, database passwords, sort of can't have that in your code. So we basically make tools for developers so they can manage it. It's open source. I'm building this to solve my own problem. Sort of went out there and saw what was out there and thought, we could open source this. We could sort of make it for developers. Been working on this for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And coming here was very interesting to see a lot of builders and sort of having them use it to sort of see it in person rather than, I don't know, Discord or a Slack or there's a bit of distance. And also get exposure on, what is the future of this? What does AI look like? We are very close to Singapore here, a lot of AI talent here. Malaysia has, I guess the Western world is really struggling with energy. Malaysia has tons of it. So data centers.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I don't know if people actually realize, but it's something crazy about it. Like, it's like the third most in the world, like AI data centers that are being built like 15 minutes drive from here. This whole of this area. Again, is it like, again, it's all happening down in the south as well, like down here, right? I don't quite fully know. I know that we nearly got to go and see a Microsoft data center like last month or something, and like, I'm keen, but like, there's a lot of energy here, and like all of the world's big tech investing heavily in building, compute centers down here.
Absolutely. I was just talking to some people here. The Manus team from China is based in Singapore.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
You see reports coming from Oracle. Oracle is actually coincidentally building the Stargate project in the US, right? So they're very adept at building data centers, and they are expanding here very quickly.
Yeah, they got a huge ByteDance.
Yes.
Right, and they're doing like 5, 6, 7 centers over here, right?
Yeah.
But it's crazy, right? But yeah, so you've ended up here on a very interesting route as well, right? Because you are one of the very first awardees of the fellowship.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain what sort of like that is at a high level?
Yeah. So if you want to come here and you're a builder and you're using new tools like AI or you're sort of cloud first, you can apply to this fellowship. Think of it as like a Y Combinator application. And they will review your application based on what you're building and then basically invite you here for an in-person interview. You may have a chat with the team, see what they're up to, and have a chat with Balaji, who's actually running Network School. And they will decide to fund you on just an idea. If you have more traction, that's great. You have a place to stay, a place to sort of work out, and like basically it's perfect for a remote worker.
Yeah.
If you want to hire people, if you want someone to try out your product, in the early days of Stripe, Patrick Collison would just grab your laptop and, integrate your payments solution. So if you just want to do that, here it's like the perfect place. Other than that, well, I've been a long-term follower of Balaji, like from the network state side of things.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's a new place. It's like, as a builder, I get excited by the advent of like the blank sheet of paper.
Sure.
What does it look like to build something from scratch? If you just have a design mindset, you look at everything, and to see it happen to a society, right? Even though we are in a hotel, what does this look like 10x, 100x from here? It's also very exciting, to be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, we can see some of the buildings that it'll look like.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be super interesting.
Yeah.
No, okay, great. One, congratulations on getting that sort of investment from Balaji and for NS.
Yeah.
It's awesome for you to be here. Maybe we break it down a little bit more, right? So you said very, very briefly in the beginning kind of like what you're working on, right? But the challenge is, and I guess that maybe you could break down the problem, right? The minute if you are a developer that is pushing and building something useful for the world, you're typically dealing with not just private data, but sort of like the access and credentials to like tens of sort of like different sort of like systems, right?
Yeah.
And this involves basically a shit ton of passwords.
Yes.
API keys, right? API keys, key generic
secrets,
right?
Yeah.
And I can remember again, like I used to be a bad coder, 15 years ago or something now. And actually we had, again, I think I said this to you, we had there was some guys here like last month that did some virtual stuff, and they built this thing called Roasty. And you submit a GitHub repo to Roasty, and then like rip it out, right? So I submitted one of my repos from
15 years ago.
Right.
And Rosie's like, oh, great job putting your fucking API
Yeah,
keys,
API
right,
keys in
behind
there.
it. And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
what am I doing?
Right.
But so but this is actually an issue at scale, and actually just like managing this stuff across like larger and larger teams, right, that need to have access to certain parts. It's hard. So it's a really, really big problem. Actually, it's just like so surprising that there isn't a more sophisticated way of managing this stuff, right? And I guess this is the problem space that you're dealing with.
Absolutely. And the problem gets even bigger when you have AI agents into play, right? What does it look like when you summarize the problem really well when it comes to a person sitting at the laptop, writing code, pushing it in source control, deploying it in production. But what happens when part of your infrastructure is sort of run by AI, right? Like you could have bunch of agents writing code, right? And at the architectural level, LLMs need to touch every token that they are dealing with. So you can't have a system that is touching the secret, because that may go to OpenAI, it may go to Anthropic, people who are downstream.
Yeah.
So this is an unsolved problem. Fundamentally, taking one step back, right? I believe there's, in cybersecurity, there's only two ways to solve it. One is computer security and one is information security.
Sure.
Information security is when you encrypt the information, when you secure it, right? And what that creates is a second problem of the secret key that encrypts the information in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So you solve for secret management, you solve for information security. And I think that's much more ambitious than dealing with API keys. So that's why we sort of see it 10 years from now.
Does this translate into, it's like the thing that always drives me mad. It's like you secure all your passwords in 1Password or LastPass. And then you have to secure your password to your 1Password.
Absolutely.
And it's like this fucking like infinite
It's
circle.
a dog on a leash,
Yeah.
Another very interesting concept is when I read the Bitcoin white paper, I was super into the blockchain, of course, but also the wallets. What does it mean when an individual can own the private keys for all of their data, right? If the cloud, the data center just becomes a dumb warehouse for your encrypted data, and you have all the keys, and that's what we're building, right? Phase uses the Bitcoin style sort of mnemonics. Anybody with those words can have your keys.
Yep.
And I'm just super passionate about self-custody of keys. Yeah.
It's so interesting. I'm passionate about it, but it's again, I think this is why we need more people solving the problem space and making it easier and easier for people to self-custody things, right? With lower risk.
Yes.
But it's still just the reality is that whenever I'm interacting with any of these sort of systems, there's still a fear and an anxiety there around messing up key management, the seed phrase, all the rest of it, right? It's
Absolutely.
It's a big problem. Are you maybe this is a little side question, but I'm wondering are you worried about the sort of the lack of privacy that there is with Bitcoin?
I do. I think that's a very complex question, because Bitcoin is technology in traditional technology, but also social tech.
Sure.
So if you have a private chain, will it hurt the adoption, right? Because the way sort of our Western states have been set up is through a certain set of assumptions and also history, right? When you see a nation go to a certain traumatic phase, like let's say 9/11 or something like that, and they have a response to it, which is like, okay, we gotta track everything, right? We gotta associate people.
Yeah.
And when you start with a blank sheet of paper, maybe you don't tailor that in, right? You don't consider that. I am concerned about the lack of privacy, but I believe that to be a solvable problem. That's a belief. I think the hard problem has been solved. I think the distribution has been solved. I think the security has been mostly solved. Worry about SHA-256, but it's pretty happy about it.
Yeah.
There are other chains, Monero, XMR, Zcash, Tornado Cash. It's interesting to follow the history of the people who are going through a bit of legal mess who are working on this, by the way. Developers are unfortunately getting a lot of...
Yeah, they do. Yeah. But it's been some favorable stuff that's come out of the US since the Trump administration, right? For example, pardoning the Tornado Cash stuff, etc., right? But there's still... It's still risky if you're...
But we have DEXs, we have anonymous exchanges. It's getting better and better. You could if you can move away from Bitcoin to some other privacy coin and come back to Bitcoin, that's like one route. You may have financial inefficiencies within that process, but that's something that you can do. Wow. Now, is that something that the average person can do? I'm not sure.
This is what, it's tough. And I guess we worry about, because again, with where we are, right? We're in this sort of like the business, or like we're at least someone that's along and part of the journey of building new societies, whether those societies become sort of like new states and actually like new forms of government, maybe even at the local level, who knows, right? But still, we're in the business of sort of like there being these like institutions that have power over the individual. And I guess it's like, in a non-private world, I worry about the individual's ability to protect themselves and to exit, right? And you've chosen to be here, right? Like I've chosen to be here, but we can leave at any point. And I think that's like really, really important. Right? And it's our ability to self-custody and therefore to not be relying on, on third parties. I think all of that sort of like reinforces our ability to be able to basically hold governments to account to us by being able to leave.
Absolutely.
It's just so interesting. Right? And again, like, for another point about what you're building at Phase, right? You mentioned the AI agents, right? And how this complexity goes up even more when you're dealing with non-human actors, and actually you're giving them more and more sort of like power to act on your behalf as like an individual or an entity, right? I guess like maybe how do you see that even working? Like AI agents, right? The minute AI agents like typically doing more simple things, but the future is maybe a little bit different. Do you want to talk about what you might see AI agents kind of like doing, and then why Phase might be important in that world?
The roughly as a developer, the framing I have on this is going to be something like CI or like GitHub Actions. There are people who will create agents, right? Like do this, do that, like step by step, unambiguous workflow, and then put it in a marketplace. And then people are going to say install to my sort of system. I'm very interested in how that plays out. Is it going to be like smartphones and mobile apps, right? Where Google and Apple have a review process for submitting these things and for consumers to install these things and manage permissions. When you install an app on your phone, you have like, hey, can I get your contacts, right? And you have the permission set there. Is that going to be something that you have to set beforehand when you run the agent? Or can you have a set of permission like, I need 50 things to just do this, and maybe 5 things in case of an exception? Maybe you are just going about your day and you get a notification on your phone and you're like, hey, this agent would like access to a system. And you say, okay, and then Phase will sort of give it temporary credentials for that particular thing. So Phase can police over these agents to an extent. I'm really looking into trying to solve the technical problems of how can AI agents use these credential secrets without actually seeing them, right? If they can be injected, provisioned at the system level. But other than that, I think we'll have to see how these agents sort of play out. LLMs clearly can't run post, let's say, the 10 minutes mark by being entirely coherent. So it's not exactly at the security risk level. It's more about the functionality of the system that needs to be hammered out. And I think security will follow.
That's so interesting. Like touching on that point, right, about whether you can allow them to use a private key without effectively having access to the private key. Right?
Seeing it.
Because it's key. As soon as they've seen it, you're then like, okay, well, then they can use. This is the point. You're giving them permission to book a hotel, and maybe you're sanctioning it once, right? But if they have your private key, maybe they can just keep on booking you 100 hotels.
Yes.
Did you see the thing from SaaStr and from Replit, like at the weekend?
The production database.
Yeah, right. So
yes.
just the context, right?
Yes.
I can't remember the guy's name. Like the guy that runs SaaStr was like doing his
vibe coding, right?
Vibe coding 10-day in public challenge, and then on like day 9. The
production database.
The production database. Like even though it was saying that it hadn't done it and like it shouldn't have access to the production data, just like absolutely hilarious, right? But it's like an example of the danger, right? Of like handing over the keys to the castle to these agents. And if you hand it over once, then God knows what can sort of happen, right? So it's a very, very interesting problem that you're sat on there.
Yeah, I'm sympathetic to the end consumer because they are at the behest of people who are writing code, running the code, right, in the cloud. People are running the cloud. if you're an average citizen, right, your government IT's security is a bit of a joke, to be honest, right? When you see private industries for even the most trivial apps have pretty decent security these days, right? And coincidentally, Balji has a good point. Who takes internet very securely? It's like China and crypto developers, because the internet is a very Darwinistic environment in that sense. Like, you're gonna get attacked like all the time, right? And within this space, I think you unfortunately have this thing where once you have a secret leak, wow, okay, can you even rotate this thing? This thing is being used by 5,000 systems. What does that look like? Are we going to take this system down for a day? So that's where the real complexity comes into play.
It's just a drag. The problem is already hard, but it's just going to get harder and harder. Right?
Yes,
is the challenge, right?
It's going to get harder and harder. We're trying to solve it.
Where do they go and see Phase? What's the URL?
Yeah, you can go to phase.dev, phase.dev. It's open source. You can run it on your own stuff. If you're a developer, try it on your side project. If you see any secret leaks at work, maybe give us a shout. A lot of the times I have a meeting with CISOs and have you ever had a leak? And they're like, no comment. So that's the.
Yeah, we need white hats, right? Like, it's quite funny actually. There's been a couple of white hats that have been here. That we're here. Like, I don't know how many apps get launched every day right now, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of them have been getting launched with some of the vibe coding tools, right? And then maybe they've not been built in the most robust way. Which, like, who cares on day one, right? But actually, some of these things, it's interesting. We had someone that was, doing crypto payments here, right? And someone found a bug where basically you can infinitely money spend, but really spend. You can go down the cafe and actually just keep on spending this money, which didn't even exist, right?
Right.
But again, luckily, white hat solved the problem, and then stopped a bad thing happening for someone sort of like here. So it's cool.
Yeah. I think the fundamental problem here is seeing around corners. Like, how can you predict what may go wrong? I think that's like a much more basic primal problem. Can humans see that? Can AI see that?
Yeah, unknowns are challenging.
Yeah.
We have them now. But dude, thank you so much for coming in. Like, I wish you like super luck. It's super exciting.
Thank you.
I think that as an investee, effectively, of NS here, I think the intention is that if NS has its way, that that every single person here will become like almost like a micro owner of you as well, which is maybe a longer conversation for another time. But thank you for being here so much. Thank you for listening as well. I hope it's entertaining, and I look forward to one of you that's not here coming on this show later this year and having a chat as well. That would be awesome. Thank you for listening. Thanks so much for being here. Awesome. Oh.